What's up, guys? Welcome to the podcast. We got Mario here again. But today,
So,
we are going to discuss about the yung mga thoughts lang namin regarding the PBA Finals. Was it an entertaining series? Definitely.
hell
Did
yeah,
you
dude.
expect it to Did you expect it to reach 6 games? Pwede.
But after
I
the first
I
two
thought nga
games,
mag-game 7
I,
eh.
really? I don't know. After the first two games, I thought it was gonna be a sweep, but it ended up being a really, really good series for both teams. It was actually great to watch, honestly.
Now, for that one, since it ended in 6, champion na ulit SMB. Are you still convinced that we should naturalize Benny Boatwright? I want to start off with that
Oh,
conversation. Ako,
we're
yes,
going to that point, right?
we still want him. Kasi ano eh, the way
Right?
they're using Benny Boatwright kasi, it's like a first option talaga, di ba? Like, he is a first option, pero iba rin talaga yung nagagawa ng 45, 46 minutes a game. It's really taxing, bro. Like, talagang bababa yung efficiency mo if you're playing like that.
Let me just check out his stats in those last few games. But then,
He was
if you
actually
ask me,
okay.
if
Pero
you ask
nakita mo na
me,
napapagod na siya eh.
for
Yung last
sure.
2 games niya though, medyo ano, it's below his standards. I think he averaged only like 20 points a game, the last
Last
two.
four, right? Sorry, last four.
Oh
If
yeah,
I'm
yeah, wait. Last 4. If you make it
last,
last 4,
wait, naman
both
siya,
right,
no?
both right. Yes,
Wait, no, no.
yung average niya was kind of
God.
low, man. It
I
was
think
like, yun, nasa 22, 23 points per game, pero the efficiency was below.
not good at all, right? Yeah, I
Mm.
remember seeing that part. So obviously, if you're gonna ask me, even if he did have these struggles right now in the finals, it's nice to have a new import, I think, for Gilas, a new naturalized player for Gilas, because your options at this point are getting kind of slim. Uh,
Mm.
JB although JB is a great basketball player, he's not getting any younger. Um, I don't think we ever pushed through with Chris McCullough. Andre Blatch for sure is not anymore import naturalized player right now. JC is NBA busy. So just to have another option in Benny Boatwright would be great. I'm not sure how hard it is for the naturalization process to happen, but just Benny Boatwright would be nice for Gilas. We've talked about this before. We didn't really go in depth with it, but then like Benny fits pretty well in the fact that he big man siya, right? Big
Yeah.
man na shooter na who can to a certain point create his own shot. And I'm very sure Coach Tim Cohn, considering he's the new coach for the next few years, next 4 or 5 years, I'm pretty sure Coach Tim Cohn, if he's willing to like look at any people outside of Justin Brownlee, Benny Boatwright would probably be a nice fit for him. But I think if I remember correctly, didn't he just say something? Coach Tim Cohn just said something recently na Justin Brownlee is like his puzzle piece, right? He's
Mm.
like he said something like that recently. That Justin Brownlee is his guy. So I wouldn't expect for Benny Boatwright to replace Justin Brownlee anytime soon in any Gilas lineup. But it would be nice to start the naturalization process on him, just because I think we
It
both know
takes 6 months to a year.
it is quite a long process. And it's just nice to have just that extra naturalized player who can actually play at any point right now. I'm not sure if Benny Boatwright joins any other leagues, has joined any other league before the PBA, aside from the NCAA and stuff like that. But
Mhm.
he will be at least, I guess, more free than the likes of Jordan Clarkson and all that. So yeah, I would still aim to naturalize him. I mean, I don't think you'd go against that at all, right?
Yeah, actually, Benny Boatwright yung perfect talaga kasi Jordan Clarkson, you only get him is a specific time frame.
Yeah.
Uh, Tapos, may sasabihin siyang darating ako. Ano yung initial, ano niya, yung initial na sinabi niya, 8 weeks before World Cup?
World Cup, then he arrived like what, like
Wait, check ko,
what,
check ko, check ko, check ko.
2 3 weeks before. Yeah.
Jor,
So I think that was an issue though of like there's an issue, long-standing issue on that, right? I'm not sure who they were planning on replacing him with. Maybe it's probably Justin at that point already. But you're not getting JC for a lot of tournaments. You're not really gonna be able to get JC because he's an NBA player. You're not gonna get a lot of these NBA guys out for these things.
tingnan
Speaking
natin,
of like
chine-check ko yung ilang weeks ba yun. Basta weeks yun, basta more than 2 weeks yun. Kasi
let's
parang nangyari 2 weeks siya dumating, 2 weeks before. Eh di parang hindi siya nakasama doon sa Europe training, hindi siya nakasama doon sa China.
yeah. But I mean guys, just a side note, don't forget next week we actually do already have something for Gilas, right? Like it would be
Yes,
great.
Hong Kong. Hong Kong muna.
Hong Kong, Chinese Taipei. Um, Not people we can really take lightly, especially Chinese Taipei. Hong Kong is obviously still developing their basketball team, but Chinese Taipei, they're starting to get a lot better. And with Junmar and CJ only gonna be able to arrive what, tomorrow, today, from the tournament, for to train, and a lot of these other guys coming off of injury and stuff like that. Let's see how it goes, and we're hoping for the best from that for sure. Sorry, I'm just gonna go back to the Benny Boatwright thing. We have to remember the one who was defending Benny Boatwright for um the rest of these games was Tyler Bay, and
Tyler
Tyler
Bay, import.
yan. And
Kinda put
NBA
the
in
clamps.
oo,
Kinda put the clamps
oo,
on
NBA player yan. Hindi siya he's not just a random import na like hindi nakapasok sa NBA, undrafted sa NBA. Tyler Bay was in the NBA, I think, for Dallas Mavericks, right? Let me just
Yeah, Mavs. Draft pick nila most recently. Di ba batch nila Lamelo ba yan? Tyler
yeah.
Bear.
So he's very young. And di siya
And
kasi syempre may mga certain
2020, yeah.
may mga levels tayo of imports, syempre, na parang yung mga talagang umabot sa NBA, actually had a role in the NBA, or actually had minutes in the NBA, stuff like that. This guy was an NBA player who was on the Dallas Mavericks bench. Hindi lang
Mhm.
siya G League player or all that. He was a legit NBA player on a 12-man roster. So hindi joke time yung kinalaban ni Benny Boatwright. The size of Tyler Bay also has affected Benny big time. And I guess at the same time, maybe it was the first time. I'm not really sure, but maybe it was the first time for Benny Boatwright to be that first option. Because I'm not sure in the NCAA. I never really watched him play in the NCAA. But he was being guarded one on
Sa
one like
Europe hindi siya ganyan. I think he's coming from Europe if you look at real GM. Yeah, tapos this is not the kind of minutes that he's used to.
mm-hmm.
So iba talagang role. He's really adjusting to Philippine style of play. Yung before talaga, yung start, he really
Yeah.
caught everybody by surprise. Kasi parang, who's this import? Tapos biglang ganyan, di ba?
Yeah. Like big and all respect to Benny Boatwright.
Yeah,
Like
champions pa rin. Champions pa rin.
champion ka,
Yeah.
umabot ka pa rin ng champion, and di aabot ang TNT, ang SMB,
With Ivan
without
Aska. Hindi sila abot na malayo with Ivan Aska.
so malaking bagay ang Benny Boatwright. It does help that as the season wore on, SMB got healthier and SMB got more players coming back. That helps for sure, but malaking bagay pa rin ang Benny Boatwright compared to an Ivan Aska who
Who's like
did
if you think of Ivan Aska, I feel like he's a more refined Vic Manuel.
Ivan Aska. How long was he in SMB? For 6 games? 7 games?
6 games parang ganun. Halfway siya pinakawalan. Pero ganun laro niya eh. Parang alam mo yung Vic Manuel pero better Vic Manuel.
Oh, I mean,
Parang
yeah,
ganun eh. Kasi parang bruiser din sa Ivan Aska. Hindi naman siya parang dead shot from 3 eh.
yeah.
So
So
parang
that's the
clogged
thing.
yung lane with Aska
That's
and
why.
Fajardo.
That's why. So I think that's why they ended up having to replace Ivan Aska. Not because Ivan Aska is a bad import. Ivan Aska is a pretty decent import who could probably play for one. Who could probably become a star for one of the other teams in the PBA. But because SMB needs a lot of space down low for guys like Junmar, and SMB wasn't best at shooting. They weren't really great at shooting during the regular season. It was nice. Ivan Aska needed to be changed to provide Benny Boatwright that opportunity, who would provide space for Junmar, and at the same time give SMB a new look. SMB was, I think, the one of the first teams. I'm trying to think of the other teams in the league, but they're one of the first teams to deploy that actually double big lineup. Not as in like literal na big na one is dominant in the low post, one is an outside shooter. Kasi the other teams don't really have that much of that position, right? So like Barangay Ginebra has Tony Bishop and C Stand.
Tony Bishop.
Not either are
World
great
import.
not either great shooters. Then you also have Meralco. They had multiple changes sa import nila. But then their original import was good. Then
Na
TNT,
Achilles injury lang yun si Brian mo kaya nga 'di ba?
galing
Their whole season.
dude, I loved Brimo. I hope Brimo comes back for
Mm.
Meralco. Kasi he was fun to watch for Meralco. Yun nga, mga big TNT was injured for most of this conference, right? They barely had their bigs for a lot of this. Boy Aram was out for a lot of it. They had to replace RHJ. So SMB was able to take advantage of that by deploying this double big lineup, which maybe only Magnolia could match. And maybe that's why Magnolia gave them the hardest fight that they could have in this series. It just so happened that wala, iba pa rin ang SMB depth.
Did you expect James Laput to have this much reduced minutes?
I was surprised, personally surprised,
Diba?
because
Parang 7-8 minutes a game.
yeah. And
Pero
ang laki.
well, I have burger by the way.
Oh, good. Ah, man.
Mm.
Yun lang. I haven't eaten. Anyway. So, ang laki niya. Ang laki ni James. I'm surprised he wasn't used. Obviously, their matchup changes had to happen. Rafi Rivas, I got a few minutes against Junmar. Ian Sangalang, I think, was the main deployment against Junmar. And then Tyler had to deal with Benny Boatwright. I would have loved to see more James Laput, but they made their Magnolia made choices that I think they were pretty confident in. And let's be completely honest, um, game 6 was going Magnolia's way.
It was. That was
This
crazy. I was watching it. Sabi ko,
right?
ano nangyayari dito? 98, 92. Tapos biglang tres. Okay, okay. Tapos parang, ano nangyayari? Parang, oh.
Like it was really going Magnolia's way. This was on the way to game
Mm.
7 tomorrow, I guess, or
No,
Sunday.
Sunday.
Was
Sunday.
it Sunday? Okay. It was on the way for Game 7 on Sunday. It was really much on that way. It just so happened that SMB did SMB things, and Magnolia, sad to say, they choked, right? They choked at Game 6, and they could have had it in Game 7. I think that's what Coach Chito said. One defensive play, one execution, one shot, and they would be on the way to Game 7. And they're not wrong at all. A few plays that went their way, one play, two plays that would have went their way, they would have been good.
Then CJ Perez happened, the 3-pointer, no? Very
Yeah.
it is really an entertaining series regardless. I mean, maraming haters on the PBA right now, but for me, I really still enjoyed it. It's one of the few times na na-enjoy ko yung finals. Kasi ano eh, actually I've been enjoying the finals lately because the last one was na-enjoy ko yung Bay Area Dragons up against Ginebra, right? That was
Yeah.
crazy. I mean, there's a storyline element. That one was storyline element, the Philippine Arena. And that was I legit thought na that could go either way. Game
That was
7.
a
It's just that ano lang,
storyline.
sobrang ganda na simula ng Hinebra no, 'di ba?
That was a storyline as it could get. That Ginebra versus
Yeah, ganda ng
Baker.
storyline.
Yung pambansang team, you can say,
Naging
against
gano'n, naging Philippines versus China yung vibe.
against the
Even though si
Philippines
Miles Powell is
and
not
Andrew
Chinese.
Nicholson
And
without
Hayden
Hayden.
Hayden Blankley ba yun? What's his name? Blankley? Blake?
Hayden Blankley.
Hayden Blankley, tama. Yeah. Andrew
He,
Nicholson, that was fun, man.
yeah,
Nagsasalitan sila.
yeah,
They should do
he was
more of that. They should do more of that in guest teams. Di ko sure, like,
yeah, I think they
money-wise,
can.
if it's, di ba,
I think
na-disband nga
they
yung Bay Area eh. So,
Plus, I think that's the first time in a long time that we actually thought that a visiting team was gonna win. No, they looked incredible when they started the conference.
they're
They
killing
blew
everybody,
out
man. Like,
they
ang
blew
laki
out
ng win differential ng Bay Area.
exactly. SMB beat them by like 2 or 3 points if I remember correctly during that time, and and it took so much for SMB to do that. It was a great. When you say that we hope it happens more, I think a lot of it goes into how willing is the PBA to expand itself to other competition, right? We're again, I remind people about this a lot, is that we're the only league in the world that has a height limit, I think, for a conference,
6'9".
for a conference import. So I remember before they said that because they want our big men to grow. But now I think times are a bit changing, and it's reaching a point where I think their ability to grow will be highly based on who they're going up against. So it would be nice for them to go up against people a bit bigger, people a bit more skilled, people a bit faster, get themselves ready for the international game, which is what I think at the end of the day, what we all want to happen is for Gilas Filipinas to end up becoming one of a great team in Asia. They are a good team in Asia, maybe in the world, hopefully.
Yeah, and there's a lot to hope for about the PBA. Di ko alam kung they're upping the marketing status. Marketing status, the marketing game. I don't know, bakit mas na-engage
I
ako
think
ngayon? Maybe because
maybe
nagko-content
because you're
ako
more
with.
into it now, I would say.
Yeah, that's one. Pero for you as as a person who's been following the PBA for quite some time now, would you say marketing has changed? Like
I think
I'm not saying na much like NBA in terms of marketing, but has it like increased? Like are they actually trying
I think
in marketing our product, our players?
it's more of the talent on the teams, hindi siya at par with one another. Pero there's a lot more talent on those other teams now.
Like
So,
Terra Firma,
syempre,
no? This guy, I find it fun to root for Terra Firma because Isaac
parang
Go, Wami Chongson, parang
awesome.
okay, nice.
Exactly. Parang syempre you won't say na equal yung SMB and yung Terra Firma in terms of talent. Pero when you watch Terra Firma, you see that there are some glimpses of talent there. You see the Stephen Holt type of the Stephen Holt who as the season progressed got a lot better. Isaac Go coming off injury, he's getting a lot better. Wami Chongson proving that he's actually a very
Star
very
point guard.
star
Star
point
point
guard.
guard.
Even for the other teams, Blackwater making some big moves about themselves also. Just
Christian
get
Davids actually got
Christian
was
David
getting better nung patapos ng
getting better,
season.
going up. They just signed James Yap, obviously, so that's nice for their marketing. They're making move. They got a move to get Reynam Batak, which I think is announced already. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, in-announce na.
So Reynam Batak, they got him to go to Blackwater. So these teams are starting to add on talent. Hindi pa rin siya fair, obviously, for anybody who thinks I'm gonna say that's fair. Ang layo pa rin. Sobrang layo
Malayo,
pa rin.
yeah. But it's
Same.
getting,
It's
it's shrinking, at
Oo,
least.
hindi na siya yeah, hindi na siya when you see these teams, wala kang makikilala. May makikilala at makikilala ka na talaga. Same for Blackwater, they added a lot of young talent in Christian David, like you said. James Kwekute, plays better. Archie
Actually,
Concepcion.
Ross with
Ross,
Datu, whenever he played, dun sila nagka-good run, 'di ba? Nung bumalik si Datu from whatever sickness or injury was that. Yung after yung parinig ni Coach Yeng, and then when he
yeah.
came back, they
Yeah.
played their way into playoff contention.
Ross is on their way up. Gian Mamuyak, Keith Datu, Andre Karakut.
Well, ni Karakot, no?
Andre Karakut went crazy this conference. I
I think
loved
sa
watching
William Jones Cup din, yung confidence sila lahat. Na even though na they were getting destroyed
for
by
sure.
some team, it's more of they were able to build from that na condition sila. And yung confidence na, check, kaya natin tong mga international players.
Yeah. Plus, actually, fun fact, because I kept up with Andre Karakut for a while because he was DLSU, um, while I was in LaSalle Green Hills for a while. Andre Karakut was never really a go-to player. I think even in DLSU, I think he was there. There was a time where he overlapped a bit with like Jason Perkins and I think Ben Mbala. I'm not super duper sure, but
Nandun siya sa mga teams yun.
he was never really like a star point guard, the star point guard on those championship teams. So
Key role player. He's key role player.
putting him in the PBA, he's gotten a lot better, and like he's giving Wami Johnson vibes. He's giving a lot of Wami Johnson vibes in gumagaling paakyat na paakyat yung player na yun. Same as Tyler Teo. Paakyat sila na paakyat until they reach that point where they're considered a star na in the league. And Andre Karakot, Gian Mamuyak, and I think Keith Dato, I think all three of them, you can consider as those cornerstones for Ross. So yun nga, the reason why we brought it up is because hindi pa rin fair ang league. Pero the talent is getting fun. So I think that's why more people are getting
Ayun,
in. Yeah, more people are
the
getting into
talent
it.
is young. At yung fan base, kasi di ba may mga fan base na Tyler, may fan base na Richie, may
Yeah.
fan base and yung nga, may young talents per team.
Yeah.
Hindi tipong terra firma. Kung wala si Chongson doon, feel ko yun yung, ay, parang patabag
Yan
pa
yung,
rin to
yes, yun yung pinaka-ano na siguro. Pero yun yung pinaka-ano na yun. Like, that's the worst that could happen na if Wami wasn't there. But Wami's still there. And
He's
then,
committed. He's committed to
yeah,
terra firma, man.
I'm sure he is because I'm so sure, I am 100% sure a lot of teams have offered something for Wami Johnson.
And he's still there.
Yeah. So, much respect to Wami. So, the talent is starting to get a lot better in the PBA. We'd say a lot of people are being given more opportunities. And maybe that's why and I think what helped then is social media aspect of it. You can watch these PBA games on a lot of platforms now,
Dami.
right? You can watch it on so many platforms.
De,
Facebook.
pero yung platforms parang more catered towards to Class B kasi yung mga who will pay. Pero 'di ba may RPN TV that's free? Nanonood ka ba rin ba ng TV? Hindi na ako sure ng TV.
Alam ko may free channel. I'm not super duper sure.
Hindi na
But
kasi A to Z. Alam ko RPN na sila eh. Or basta iba may free TV naman sana. Hopefully available siya sa those without cable.
yeah, that's what we hope for, right? Because everybody loves basketball, right? And that's the point is that this SMB Magnolia series Probably in terms of parity or fairness, it would be a very fair match between the two, huh? Not between the league. Between the two,
Very
it
fair
was
nga. Oh, solid yung
was
labanan
very,
talaga. It's a
very
matter who's
fair.
gonna get hot.
Yeah, it was very yeah, we'll talk about that later for sure. About who got hot, because I got one name.
Sakto. Why not?
Yeah. Anyway, so what I'm saying is that when we that's why I think a lot of people tuned into this one or cared about this one. It's just because this was a fair. You weren't sure who was gonna win this series coming into it. Maybe after the first two games, you had thoughts of easy SMB na yan. But after the next two games, with Calvin, Ian all waking up, Paulie waking up even for a bit, it became fun. That's why I think it's getting a bit more. It's getting a bit more fun to watch.
Do you think TNT can still, without Mikey Williams, can still compete with the top dogs? Kasi ang laking kawalan pala ni Mikey Williams, eh, no?
We have to give credit to TNT that they had a lot of players out for this one. Um, Boy Aram didn't play, I think, for most of the year. Our Pogoy came back for the last 3 games. Jason Castro hasn't been, is getting up there in age. Calvin Oftana, we've talked about Calvin a lot. We love that guy. Shake Shack ka ba? Anyway, that was my dinner yesterday, so I was thinking about it. I mean the other day, and then anyway, so with TNT, I think TNT still has the firepower for sure. Um, Especially what with if they had RHJ back, the original RHJ, not the Raleigh RHJ. They
Not
would
the older one.
not,
But
not the replacement RHJ, the real
he was
RHJ.
good though. That replacement RSJ was getting buckets.
Replacement RHJ averaged 50, and no one saw
Chemistry
it.
lang naging issue din. I mean, di ba?
Yeah,
Kahit anong galing niya, walang chemistry. Hindi talaga mananalo.
yeah, and they actually have a lot of young pieces. Also, it's kind of fun to watch. Kim Aurin, of TNT is something. Where
3x3 galing yun, di ba?
pardon me? Yeah, 3x3 for Hinebra. So alam ko actually Hinebra drafted him, pero iniwan lang nila just to get signed by TNT.
Yeah.
He's playing well. He played well for them this conference. Um, I think at some point we're gonna make a video probably since the Philippine Cup's coming up soon. We're gonna see a lot of local talent only.
Oh, we
We'll
can
probably
review teams. Let's review
yeah,
teams
I'll go through like
heading in.
each
Once nas
team.
finalized na. When na-release yung rosters. Kasi they
Okay,
always do that. They release rosters like few
a
days
week before.
before.
That'll
A
be
week
great.
before.
Yeah. Anyway, so TNT I think can still. Are they up there pa rin without Mikey? I don't think so. They aren't up there, but they're still one of the better teams. But they are not at the level of SMB, Magnolia, and Ginebra without Mikey. Respectfully.
Respectful. I think they're prepared to move on without Mikey. No.
I
Wala na
think
talaga eh.
it's
And I think
kind
it's
of.
Coach Shot. Coach Shot is coming back
Oh yeah,
to
you're right.
TNT. Hindi na si Jolas. But I
You're
think
right.
Jolas will be the team manager.
Yeah. I mean, dude,
Wait,
just
is it?
basketball minds in itself. Malaking bagay na yun for TNT. It will be fun to see Coach Chot back in the PBA. He's been ridiculed a lot. Just because he was been running Gilas. So just for him to get back to the PBA, kind of, I guess, gain some confidence again in his coaching would be fun. So what the like I was talking about kanina, going
Wait,
back to this.
correction. Hindi pala. He's not gonna be team manager. It's Richard Del Rosario. Scratch what I said. But I
So
think
what
he's
is
still gonna help TNT.
for sure? Richard De Los Ayos, TNT na?
No. Richard Del Rosario is a team manager of Gilas. I was gonna say sana team
Ah,
manager of Gilas. And then I
okay.
remembered, oh yeah. It's Richard Del Rosario nga pala.
Okay.
My mistake.
I got you. Oh, damn, sorry. What's I gonna say? So going back to the series, we gotta talk about X Factors. I think we should talk about some X Factors in this series.
Oh
And
yeah, X Factors mo.
the SMB X Factor is Jericho freaking
Oh
Cruz.
yeah.
Jericho
Jericho
freaking
Cruz.
Cruz. Well, dude, they do not win game number
Wait,
5.
honorable mention though to Simon Enciso. Pero
But
Jericho Cruz yung main.
Jericho Cruz, and I mean, do you consider CJ Perez an X Factor? Not really.
No. He's the finals MVP, hindi an X Factor. He's
Except for
supposed to
him.
do that.
Yeah,
He's
respect him.
supposed to do that.
Jericho Cruz, game 5, Jericho Cruz won that game for SMB. That even if they were leading by a decent margin, he made like a few big threes but then at the end that made it that made it SMB get that win. Even in this game now, in the last game, he was a part of that final lineup, the closing lineup that got them the run, right? CJ was making the shots, but Jericho was still there playing some pretty good basketball. I would give a lot to it to Jericho Cruz. First two games at SMB won also. He was there, playing a lot of big minutes. Also Chris Ross, right? Chris Ross, I think another X factor we should bring up because he doesn't really, I don't think you're really expecting Chris Ross to play these type of minutes anymore at this point in his career. But he is there closing lineups, locking up Paul Lee, locking up Gio Halalon. Big X factors on those two for Jericho Cruz and Chris Ross. They probably won SMB a few games just on the two of them, just on the two of them giving that energy and defense that SMB was lacking after those.
Jericho
Uh,
Cruz was game 5. Siya talaga yung nag-change ng trajectory nun. That was game 5
oh,
talaga. 30-point explosion, man. Like, what the hell?
dude, he was not. He was making threes contested, uncontested.
Sila
Paul
ni
Lee,
Enciso. Silang dalawa, actually.
yeah.
Sobrang
Simon
init nila
too.
sa tre.
Simon came back game 5, right? Am I right?
Yeah, game 5, game 5. Tapos, wait, played 30 minutes. I know he played 30
So
minutes tapos 5 threes. 5
so
for
guys,
9.
hindi po coincidence na SMB won the last two games at the same time Simon Enciso came back. Simon Enciso is actually a really, really good point guard, defensively and offensively. He is not the tallest, pero he makes some pretty big plays on both ends. Kaya siya I mean, so hindi siya coincidence na SMB was able to pull out these wins in these last two games. Let me check out lang the box score of the last game.
Yeah, si Marshall pa ba yung ano eh, yung playing time per as the games went on.
In the last game, Simon Enciso didn't really play that many minutes.
Wala
11 minutes.
wala masyado, 11 lang. Ayan, 11 minutes nga lang si Simon Enciso. Si
Look
CJ
at
Perez was the most efficient guy last game, 28 points in 23 minutes.
Look at Jericho, 36 minutes off the bench. Chris Ross, 32 minutes off the bench. That's what I'm talking about. Chris Ross, Jericho Cruz, they came out in some of these moments and showed that SMB pa rin kami. We may be coming off the bench, but believe me, malayo kami sa bench player. And they played really well. Terrence Romeo didn't even play for this series, man. TR7, barely, I don't think he played a lot at all. Vic
Barely played,
Manuel,
man. Barely played. One
Vic
game.
Manuel.
First game lang. Tapos,
Alam mo siya spot minutes dun sa ibang game. Sorry, I'm not super
wala
sure.
man. Second, wala. Third.
Vic Manuel didn't play this whole series at all. And they
Ano ba injury
still,
ni Vic Manuel ulit?
I think it has something to do with his leg. Or
Ah.
back or leg.
Yeah, one
Uh,
game lang si Terrence Romeo.
Yun. Like Terrence and Vic both are pretty big PBA players, right? And they didn't play this whole series. They barely played this whole series. And SMB still won a lot. Still won this series in 6. Malayo ang talo ng SMB. But going back, X factor talaga ng SMB was the two. Jericho Cruz, Chris Ross, and three, sorry, and Simon and Cisa. For Magnolia, when they won their two games, I think an X factor that we mentioned has to be again X factor, but Aris Jonicio.
Mm.
Yesterday, off the bench, that guy cut the lead to 1. He even had a chance to almost win the game, and I thought it had a decent chance of going in, diba? Like it had genuine sights of uy pwede pumasok yan. So Irish Dionisio, another person who I think is a little bit on the rise, great shooter, great shooter. And in those game 3, game 4 wins, he had a lot of those dagger moments. Yung mga, oh damn, pasok na, that's game. Irish Dionisio made that 3, that's game. Ayun, X factor for me for Magnolia was Irish Dionisio, and I don't know if you can consider him an X factor, but Mark Baroka is actually like the basis, I think, of Magnolia. If Mark Baroka is playing well, Magnolia has a very decent chance of winning. So I think that's what happened in that series.
Yeah, and inconsistent play of Paul Lee, right? That's also one that
Yeah.
actually played the part then of Magnolia just not being able to extend it to game 7. Although yung birthday game niya, it was actually alright. He played really well nung time na yun. He was making the same shots as CJ Perez, yung mga high looper threes, high
Yeah.
looping threes.
I think we not to be this. Oh, he did have 25. You're not wrong.
Oh, yung last game 6.
You're not wrong.
But it's like,
But
it was a loud 25. I was watching the game eh. So, oh shit, nice. Tapos
but
biglang, that last 2 minutes though.
but look at his other games, right? Paul Lee in the first game had 6 points. That's the first game, right? Paul Lee had 6 points in the first game. In the second game, Paul Lee had sorry, let me check. Paul Lee had 5 points. In game in game number where am I? In game number three, Paul Lee had sorry. Paul Lee had 12. Decent uptick. In game four, he had where am I, dude? Paul he had 14. Again, decent uptick. And then in game five, he had 12 again. So these aren't really those Paul Lee numbers that you'd hope to get from him. You can see it. Paul Lee can. Oh, I charged my laptop. Sorry. Paul Lee can score 25 points. You're just hoping that he can do it across a whole series, and he puts in the work. We see all those videos of him with I forgot the name of his trainer.
Simple grind.
Yeah,
Nicolo.
in the work. He puts in the work. People love to talk about how Paul Lee disappears in the playoffs. We see people talk about it a lot, and it may be true. He does disappear a few once in a while in these games. In these games, but Paul Lee is still Paul Lee. If he can have these games more often, Magnolia would probably be up in that. Would have probably won that series if Paul Lee could play the way he played in that game six. But fact of the matter is, he couldn't. He hasn't. So my question for you is, what now for Magnolia, bro? Like,
Wala masyadong changes. You keep that lineup sa All Filipino. Kaya yan eh. Laban yan pero SMB pa rin.
yeah,
I feel like SMB
I feel,
has the most loaded All Filipino lineup right now.
oh, dude, malayo. Sobrang layo. As in, sobrang layo talaga. I love Mighty. I love Hinebra. I love Magnolia. And I love what a lot of these other teams are trying to do. But SMB is
We
far
need
and
more
wide.
James Laput. Fan ako ni Laput eh.
So
Mas
really,
magagamit na siya doon. Mas back to 30 plus na siguro yun. Or 25 plus. Pagdating na All Filipino.
he's gotten so much better. It's fun to watch him.
Oo nga. Ang ganda ng
Very
touch niya ngayon.
Yeah. Dati kasi si Gilas yun na yan eh. Medyo wala nang touch at all.
At all
He's
before.
off. Ang lambot na ng kamay niya, which is kind of fun to watch with him, especially for a big man. Ayun, I wish we
Ganda
had
ng
saw.
depensa ni Laput. He doesn't get into foul trouble as much. Ang ganda ng timing niya.
Yeah, but again, you have to realize that it really matters. A lot of this matters of who's behind you, right? James Laput, even if he fouls out, you're not that worried kasi Ian Sangga lang papasok mo. Rafi Davis, pwede mo rin ipasok. Like, so he has more freedom to play as compared to an Isaac Go. Na if Isaac Go gets fouled out, sino papalit sa kanya? Albert Ramos? Sige, okay. Pwede pa. If guys like Christian Stan Hardinger foul out, papalit sa kanya si Japet. If Japet gets fouled out, sino papalit sa kanya? Right? So a lot of this is like the depth print of Magnolia is giving James Laput this opportunity to find himself some confidence, I guess.
Yeah. Well, pretty much, yeah. So I'm excited for the All Filipino Conference. I'm sure you are. And we're gonna have an episode soon to just discuss the lineups for the All Filipino.
It's gonna be fun.
Yeah, for sure. And this was pretty much a quick podcast. We just wanted to discuss what you thought about the finals and everything. I think with this, we were able to mention all the needed players and topics. So yeah, next episode I think will be ano.
Coach George Gallant, brilliant basketball mind, dude. Really smart basketball mind. He adjusted after that game four loss with SMB. Started playing less of the other lineup. Started playing less of the other players. Started playing less Gerantine. Started playing less Rodney Brundial. Started sticking to his vets, and lo and behold, your vets pulled out the games for you. So brilliant basketball mind. And I guess for the PBA, uh, we're gonna see soon local. We're
Yeah, a
gonna
week
see.
and a half.
Yeah.
Next week we have a Gilas episode. It's a special Gilas episode. Actually, our episodes next week will be mostly, not mostly, will be focused on Gilas. We will be looking for reports from TBT Spin about the training camp. They're currently in his Inspire Academy right now up until Feb 18
Mhm.
for their bubble. First game is on the 22nd, and then wait, we'll have a pod.
Actually, a week from now. When we
Yeah, we'll
record.
have a pod a week from now. You want to do it after the game or before?
After the
After na
game.
lang.
Pwede man like what we saw, ganun. No,
Yeah,
yes.
gano'n na lang. We'll
Yeah.
do a quick pod after the Hong Kong game and then another pod after the Chinese Taipei game, which will be held here sa Phil Sports.
Yeah.
So, nood tayo, nood tayo. Manood ka, kung pwede ka.
Hey,
Lapit lang
let
yun sa'yo, gagi. Hindi ka pwede sa...
hey man. hey,
You
hey,
think it's
you
gonna
know,
be full? I feel like it's gonna be full. It's just Phil
I
Sports.
hope so.
Mapupuno yun. Mapupuno
Phil
yun.
Sports is the one in
May
kay
Kai
Philippine.
Soto pa, bro. Kai, Dwight's there. Magic Brownlee's there. Mapupuno yun, man.
Philippine ko
Mapupuno.
pala yun iniisip ko. Where's Phil Sports? Yung sa Pasig?
Yung sa tapat ng estansya. Yung sa tapat ng estansya. Ultra.
Oh,
Ultra.
that's fun. That's fun.
Yung
I
sa tapat
hope
ng
they can
estansya
fill
lang.
up.
Park in
That's not the,
estansya. Lakad ka.
that's not the biggest arena in the world. I mean, in the Philippines, that they can fill that up, and it would be so fun to see that filled up. A whole crowd hoping for Gilas to play out to win. That'd be so fun. I recommend for anybody in the Pasig area. I don't know kasi if may bayad yun. I'm fairly certain meron. Pero if wala, wala.
Pero bayad yun, malamang ano, libre.
Sorry, wasn't the last time when I watched PBA, wasn't it free?
Gago, walang free. Walang free na games. Ano ka ba?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I don't remember.
Pero yung presyo, hindi mahal. Yun yung
I
kaya ko
agree.
i-guarantee. Yung presyo, hindi mahal. Yung for
I don't
FIBA games, yung qualifiers.
PBA was free. I'm so sorry. I'm like going insane. But the last when we watched together, when you watched you on tour, di ba free yun? I'm not so sure. Anyway, basta
PB
I
on
remember.
tour was free, but that's on tour.
Yeah,
That's a preseason
I
game. That's Summer
agree.
League.
Yeah,
That's
but
like Summer League. Ito may bearing talaga to. Ano ka ba? Wala namang bearing yung PBA on tour eh. Para lang maghanap ng ano yun. Para, this guy's good. Let's put him in the end of the bench.
You're right. You're right. You're right. It was on tour. I think that's why it was free. Anyway, yeah. If we can fill it up, that would be great. That would be so fun. Um, it's a pretty nice arena, naman. And dude, it would be so fun just to be able to see these guys play. We don't really see Dwight Ramos play. We don't really see JB play. We don't really see. We don't really see Carl Tamayo play. We don't really see Kai Soto play.
I
AJ
need to see
we
Carl.
don't get
I
to
wanna see
see.
Carl play.
I want to see Carl play too. We don't
Oo.
really get to see. We got to see KQ play a lot in strong. A lot of these guys we haven't seen in a while. It'll be really fun.
Yeah. So we'll see you guys next week after the Hong Kong game, or if there's any big development prior to that,
Yeah.
we'll make a pod. Thanks again, Mario.
All
And everybody, thanks. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Subscribe, follow on Spotify. Subscribe on YouTube, follow on Spotify. There you go. 5 stars, please.
right.